football, fantasy, football, fantasy. If you like football, then you like fantasy. Fantasy, football, fantasy.
Oh!
Yeah.
Back at him.
Back at 'em, back at 'em.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a fantasy channel that you've got to see.
It's like a fantasy, football fantasy. Like catching a football that came from me.
I think this is the most I've ever listened to.
Fantasy,
I think it's done it every week.
fantasy, football fantasy.
Like an end zone that ends in a waterfall.
A shower that showers you with tiny football.
It's a football fantasy.
He's letting it roll, guys.
Just getting them tweeters ready. You know, tweet out the links to things.
Where's the chat? Oh, no.
Nobody's here.
It's all different. YouTube's all different again. Oh,
If
no.
you like football, then you like fantasy, and that means you should like fantasy football, the podcast.
That's what this show is.
Hello, Josh.
Hi, Luke. What's up? You have to carry me like you do every week.
Carry you, please. I just lay down the tracks, and you're the train that rides them.
Oh, I'm the train? Oh, I'm like a train. That's sexy. A sexy train with sexy train wheels.
You put the loco in my motion.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Four Loco.
Remember Four Loco? I mean, not that you have to forget it because it's technically still available.
Around, yeah. The good stuff, though. The real stuff.
The real stuff that we drank on one of our old podcasts.
And at our job.
And at our job at like 8:30 in the morning.
You know, nobody showed up that early. 8:30?
Yeah, you're right. It was like 10:30.
10:30.
But we still did it. It was delicious.
Oh, it was so good.
It was delicious.
Oh, now I can see the chat. There we go.
Cool. We have a chat. Mel is here. Welcome, Mel. So welcome back, everybody. Week 3, Season 2, 2018 NFL football season.
Oh, my God.
This is part 3 of our preseason fantasy football preview. And for those of you who haven't watched before, I noticed we have been getting a couple new subscribers since coming back, which is great to see.
Yes.
We've eclipsed the 125 threshold.
Thank God. After 125, it's all boop, it's like a parabola. 10,000.
I hope so.
10,000. We'll have 10,000.
Actually, I hope that it just stays in like this range because I'm comfortable being like, just us. You know, it's real intimate right now.
Yeah.
Last thing I need to do is, start putting on my Logan Pauls and being that kind of guy.
Yeah, that is the last thing that you need to do. That is the last thing we all need for ourselves. Logan Pauls.
So as you tuned in here, let's talk a little bit about what the preseason previews mean, just to catch you back up.
Yeah.
We're in week 3, which means we have officially moved on to the NFC. Tonight we'll be talking about the NFC North and the NFC West.
A real conference.
And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to go team by team and highlight one player from the QB, RB, WR, TE, and a sleeper for each team, just to kind of get you in a drafting mindset.
Mm-hmm.
As we head into the end of August, when I believe most of these drafts are happening in earnest.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too early in August because then you get the guys like Brad Penny with a broken finger and he just screwed your draft up.
Way to go.
But when you wait till sort of like mid to late August, you got that good idea. Teams are condensing. Who's going to make the final cut?
Mm-hmm.
So we are back.
We're back, baby. Back at 'em.
Back at 'em. Before we dive in, though,
yeah,
we got to go through our preamble. our pre-show nonsense, and I want to talk about a few things. Number one, we have a few listener questions, which
thank God
are awesome, and
I missed that.
And they are preseason relevant, which is why they're making the cut.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to do like questions, so early, because we're kind of doing just like, here's things, right? But before we get to those listener questions, let's talk about that Jalen Ramsey interview.
I have not. I heard a little bit about it. I heard that with Josh Rosen, which one of the Joshes, he said that he's not his teammate, so he doesn't care what he has to say. What did he say about Rosen? That he was
that he sucked.
Did they practice together? Is that how he knew?
No. Jalen Ramsey had an interview with GQ, which was all encompassing, but it somehow came up that they were just talking about like, who do you think's a good quarterbacks? And then he was like, you know what? Let me get my phone and just look at all the quarterbacks. And he was like, Josh Rosen, like that guy was terrible in college. So how is he going to be in the NFL? Like he's trash. That's pretty high praise for Carson Wentz.
I saw that.
High praise for Deshaun Watson.
I saw that.
But yeah, he had a lot to say about a lot of guys, and particularly though, and this is what I like because I have high hopes for this player, Mr. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
He believes Lamar Jackson is comparable to Baker Mayfield, who was taken number 1 overall. And he didn't quite understand why so many other players were taken ahead of him. And that's sort of how they got into the Josh Allen is garbage. Josh Rosen is garbage.
He was like, what, 6th or something? 12th? What were they?
Lamar Jackson was...
No, Lamar Jackson was like
31st.
First, yeah. But
all those other guys got taken in like the top 10, 12. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he's holding it down for the Deion Sanders cornerback talk trash, right? I mean, I think this stuff's fun. I don't care. It's like wrestling, right? Like, whatever.
It's a little bit like wrestling, but it's also it's nice to have something like not preseason-y to talk about during the preseason.
Nobody's ripped their ACL and they're not like, oh, my season's over before it began. So yeah.
It's I just like this kind of vibe where we have something to generate some conversation besides like, oh, did you see the 4th string tackle tonight?
Right. I that's why I cannot stand preseason. Like, somebody was asking me like, did you watch? My mom was like, did you watch the game last night? And I was like, no, Mom, I did not watch the Eagles' 7th string players play for 15 minutes. No, I didn't. Preseason is like, it's the death knell of summer. It's the death knell of summer. It's go back to school and also watch the shittiest football that the NFL has to offer. It's near painful watching preseason games. Near painful.
I do like to watch like the first quarter. I'll admit, because I like to see some of the guys that they're like, oh, this guy got drafted. Let's see how he does. And but it's so hard to gauge in preseason because everybody's vanilla.
Yeah,
everybody's just like,
no one's trying that hard.
We're just running off the tackles. We're just throwing simple routes.
Yeah.
Like Doug Peterson's not doing Philly in the preseason.
No. The plays are just like. Just regular first row Madden plays, right? You're just like, sure, we'll run this one. See what Wendell Smallwood can do with this one, right?
Not much. But beyond that, like, I don't watch into the 4th quarter when it's like, this quarterback the Eagles had to sign because nobody can play.
Right? What Jalen Ramsey should have said was Josh Rosen is going to suck because he plays quarterback in Buffalo.
Josh Allen. Josh
Allen. Sorry, yeah. Josh Rosen
will be the week
Cardinals.
2 starter in Arizona when Sam Bradford dies.
When his knee erupts and explodes.
When
and
both of his knees erupt again. Yes.
Like a cartoon.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves because Arizona's on the docket tonight.
Oh, no.
We don't want to spoil that conversation.
No, that's a good one. That's going to be a good one.
Because I know that the Arizona Cardinals, formerly of the NFC East, are one of Josh's favorite teams.
Yeah, I love them. They're one of my favorite teams to watch and talk about in that order.
I liked them when they had Jake the Snake Plumber.
Whoa, it was like 2003,
Way back.
2004, maybe.
Before most of the people watching this show were even born.
Nobody's watching this show, Luke.
Hey-o! Oh man, that would have been a great point for a soundboard.
Oh,
Well, we don't have one tonight.
wait, what happened?
I don't know. I didn't feel like it.
All right,
It's the preseason for us too, Josh.
number one.
All right, so we had 2 questions sent into us. We don't have a listener question sponsor yet, but I'm sure we're going to get one eventually.
Yeah.
This comes from longtime listener, oftentimes emailer, sometime host, Mel from the East Side Wranglers. Inquired to me on Discord, which, by the way, we have a fantasy football Discord, which you can join.
Yeah.
We'll tweet out a link to that at the end of the show on our Twitter.
It's free too.
And it's free, and it's a less cancerous place than Twitter. So come over there and hang out with us.
It's less terrible. That is true.
It's less terrible. So Mel wants to know, hey, you guys be using ESPN all the time. What the fuck is so good about it?
The points.
And and as for my league, I often recommend it to be there. Let's see. I like ESPN because it's what I've used for 16 years.
There you go. That's the answer.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's on ESPN, which arguably has the best fantasy analysts, and all that content is mostly free for you to peruse.
That's pretty sweet.
And it's got a ton of customization options. So you're not like locked into CBS's bullshit,
right?
And Yahoo is fine, but again, like that's one of those things where I like Yahoo for some things, but not like enough to just be like, hey, we're moving the whole league over to Yahoo.
Yeah, Yahoo's good for like making a fake email to give to stores.
Yes.
Not so much. I don't know how their Final Fantasy football analysis is. I don't know either,
but I do know that they do those like recaps of your win.
That's true. They do that,
which are neat.
That is fun
and pointless. It's like your running back scored in the 80th percentile. It's like, okay,
thanks.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's not going to happen again, maybe. So yeah.
Man. But yes, I like ESPN. NFL.com can lick my taint.
Yeah, NFL.com is pretty rough.
All the like officially licensed things from outside of ESPN I find are not good.
Not as reliable.
So fucking boring.
Yeah. I mean, that's the NFL.
The NFL.
They don't want people to have too much fun. No fun league.
The no fun league. All right, elsewhere.
Hey, it's preseason for them too.
Heyo. We have from KJ Sandwich.
Oh, KJ Sandwich.
I noticed there were a lot of fights in the preseason. And that's a thing you see, especially when teams practice together.
All week for like 3 or 4 days.
You got guys like DJ Swearinger creeping up on former teammate and bum Terrell Pryor Sr.
And bum. Former teammate and current bum.
Current bum. And then they get a little shovey.
Yeah.
You got guys like Jarvis Landry getting in the face of his own teammates because they aren't as good as him.
Yeah, because he's Jarvis Landry, and that's a very Jarvis Landry thing to do.
So he's noticed there's been a lot of fights, and you don't see too many actual fights outside of the preseason during a season.
Right.
You see a little tussle. You sometimes get the Josh Norman choke slam.
Sure.
Or last year, AJ Green did it to Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey completely obliterated him every single play.
Or the Aqib Talib chain snatch.
Oh, the chain snatch. Chain
snatch is good. But you don't see it in preseason because it doesn't matter. Preseason does not matter. So they're just like, whatever, fight in the preseason, don't fight in the regular season. They're not going to suspend you. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll suspend you for the next preseason game and you don't have to play that game.
Like, oh no, I missed the preseason game. But
what am I gonna do?
I think too, a lot of times the tempers flare because some guys go at it harder than others.
Right.
And they're like, bro, it's preseason.
Right. The established guys are like, why are you doing this? But the undrafted rookies are like, come on, like I gotta make this team, you know. It's a weird time in football. I think that adds to like the weirdness factor of the and the bad quality of the product of the preseason.
It's still better than Thursday night football.
Hey, it's Thursday night football for them too.
Oh man, we're on a roll tonight.
We're good. Some
It's
of
all
us are high on cold medicine.
Yeah, man, codeine.
I got the stuff with the good shit in it too. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. That's our first sponsor of the night. Rite Aid brand. Rite Aid brand NyQuil.
No, nighttime cold and flu relief. That means let's see. Okay. So Rite Aid's reminders brought to you by Rite Aid Cold and Flu Relief for nighttime discomfort. When the weather's got you down, there's nothing better than a little Rite Aid.
Make you right.
Cold and flu relief.
It'll make you right. All right.
But the Rite Aid reminder is to remind you about A, our Discord, which we talked about earlier. B, we're going to be having some Madden streams right here on this very YouTube channel in a few weeks. That'll be opening Saturday. You could, right after the Eagles defeat the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday, you can swing on by us on Saturday. And the plan for that is to play 3 games a day per stream.
Oh, man.
We're going to do the 3 big games of the week. We'll do Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and we will play the America's Game of the Week.
What's America's Game of the Week? Thursday Night Football?
No, it's the 4 o'clock.
Oh, right. Is it the CBS 4 o'clock, or is it?
It's either CBS's or Fox, whichever one.
I think it's CBS
doubles down. Right?
Oh, right.
Whichever one shows 2 games.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll fucking decide when I feel like it. But it'll definitely be Sunday night. It'll definitely be Monday night. The Sunday game to be determined. We will not ever play a Thursday night football game.
Oh, we heard it here first. Thursday night sucks. Suck it, Thursday night.
It'll just be me versus the computer. I will take the lesser team every single time just to see who will win.
Looks pretty good at Madden, so.
Elsewhere, though, let's remind them a little bit about the other things you do during the Rite Aid reminder session.
Yeah,
because we often skip over your accomplishments on this show.
Let's remind me of what those are, because I definitely know what you're talking about right now, but they don't. So you should tell them, because I don't want to seem like a cop.
I should tell them the things that you do. Okay.
Oh, well, stuff I do. Oh, right. I do a show called. Is that what we're doing? We're plugging.
Yes, plug it up.
Is it the Rite Aid earplugs for when your nighttime is too noisy? Put earplugs in. I do a show called Continue. It's on YouTube. It's been on for 407 years. I do a show called oh my god! I do a show called Pretend Friends, where we play a role playing tabletop game called Space Kings or Fantasy Hour. That's the fantasy version of it. I stream on Twitch when I'm not sick in bed. I play what else I do? Oh, I watch a Star Trek show with my friend Jeff, and I do an M Class podcast, and I do this show, and there's another one I do. I'll think of it.
And that was Josh Has Trouble Remembering, brought to you by Rite Aid.
Back in my day, you had to remember 2 podcasts you were on, not 17.
And everybody can help support Continue and Pretend Friends and the Continue podcast over on the Continue Patreon, correct?
Yeah, patreon.com/continue show. Get on the Discord. You get awesome stuff like a free well, not a free, but if you're a patron, you get to watch us watch movies and make fun of them while we watch them, a la that show that everyone loves that I can't say, and because our lawyers. No,
Friends.
But you get friends, just like Friends. There's a monkey named Marcel. That's the name of the monkey.
Was that
from
the
that
monkey's
show.
name?
Yeah, I think so. I think his name's Marcel.
Wow.
Ask
What
the
a sh-
Twitter.
What a shame. I don't care. Enough.
Cracking the
man.
spine. Thank you, Mel.
Cracking
Mel
the
knows.
spine.
Or I don't
Okay.
read books. That's it.
You don't read books. That's a shame.
I'm supposed to.
You read Streets fantasy previews every year they come out when they
I
cost
do.
$16
Yeah.
because they're magazines, and no wonder print is dying.
Magazines. Remember those? That was good,
Ah.
man. I like in a movie when someone's reading a magazine and you're like, yeah, this movie's old. Nobody's reading a magazine unless you're like at a place with magazines like the doctor,
The doctor's office, the hair salon.
the hairstylist.
You get to read a copy of Us Weekly.
Yeah.
I'm not stereotyping or being rude. I just every time I go to
No,
the
there's
hair
always
salon,
Us Weekly.
it's always Us Weeklies.
There always is. That's like one of the last things there is. I need to know what my girl Miley Cyrus is up to. Check out Us Weekly.
She ain't up to much.
Not anymore,
No.
unfortunately.
Sad
Party
day.
in the USA, man.
Pour one out. All right. That will bring us up to the actual part of the show you all came to watch. Nope, that
Yeah.
part's over. Now comes the part everybody hates.
This is the not fun part.
So first, we're going to be taking a look at the NFC North, and we're going to kick things off with the only publicly owned team in the NFL,
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers, where you can buy a share of the team and have absolutely no say in what happens.
It's like kind of owning like a movie theater, but they just show all the movies that come out anyway. Like they're not showing the Goonies
No.
because you want them to.
What?
I just show if I owned a movie theater, I just show the Goonies every night.
Okay. I could see that
Like
happening.
11 o'clock at night. That's the last movie you show, the Goonies, and 3 people would show up. I'd be one of them.
You'd make so much money.
It'd be great.
Every week.
Yep.
All right, so Green Bay Packers, they have one person that everybody knows, mostly
Yeah.
because of his commercial work.
Yeah, insurance companies.
Nationwide is not on his side. He's a State Farm
That's what it is.
double check. And his roommate Clay Matthews, who you may remember from Pitch Perfect 2.
Is Clay Matthews still on that team?
Oh yeah, he has to be because he's too dumb to know how to get anywhere else.
He's not
They
very
can't
good.
put any more information in his Cro-Magnon brain.
Oh well. It happens.
So Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone last year.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he was on pace to be the number 2 quarterback,
Yeah.
according to ESPN standard PPR scoring.
There you go, Mel.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Pretty reliable.
Yeah. Yeah, I would draft him pretty high. I mean, he's always good. So get him.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know who
always-
he's going to throw to, but okay.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Even when he has nobody to throw to, he could still put up some good numbers.
Some numbies. I call them numbies.
Numby. Okay. All right. He has been a little bitten by the injury bug. He's now 35.
Yeah, he's our age. Well, my age.
It's possible for quarterbacks to stay good, but mobile quarterbacks like him sort of start to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does coming back from this collarbone.
He's still scary though. He scares the shit out of me.
Oh, he's tremendous in the arm strength. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about from a position of staying on the field.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But he does deliver when he's healthy. You can, pencil him in for a top 10 finish at minimum, basically.
Yeah, minimum, yeah.
And it all depends on the performance, of course, of his supporting cast, such as the person I believe
Oh, look at this
will
pick.
be the primary back, Jamal Williams,
They
finished as the 32nd running back last year.
They've had a lot of running backs. It's what is that? A turnstile of running backs going on. Eddie Lacy got sent away because he loved eating hot dogs too much.
He loved all that cheese, baby.
Too much delicious Green Bay cheese.
Too much delicious Green Bay cheese. But yeah, so Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery, who's a wide receiver, who was forced to be a running back. So, they have committee and Mike McCarthy, who is somehow still there.
The Marvin Lewis of the Packers.
Has already said that there will be a committee, which is pretty much kryptonite to fantasy.
Yeah, it's like stay away from that shit. Don't get near it.
I think Jamal Williams is probably the best pure runner on that team. And, when you finish 32, that means you finished in the percentile of running backs that could have qualified to be a starter,
Right.
16 over, whatever.
Right.
But the problem with all the Green Bay running backs is that their ceiling is like a running back 2.
That's that. I mean, maybe 2. Maybe.
Well, right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the best they'll ever be
is B2. Yeah,
is RB2.
I mean, the ceiling might be 3. Like I just those running backs on that team don't. I don't know what it is. Like I guess because they got Aaron Rodgers and he's just so incredibly good at throwing. Like they don't seem to run consistently. They don't seem to run in the red zone like ever. So I don't know if that's like I don't have stats to back up my opinion about this like you do, but it just like it feels that way whenever I watch the Packers, and I do watch like a shitload of football. Their running backs just don't. They don't wow you. You're not like, oh, I gotta get that guy. That guy, it just doesn't happen. So
it's true, and you always find that one guy that'll like pick up a Green Bay running back right when they're like super hot, and he'll sneak out a few wins, and then that running back like fades into obscurity. He gets fucking Thanos snapped back to reality.
The snap, is that they call the snap thing? Snapping, is that what they call it?
Yes, the snap. All right. So, but yeah, just be aware of what's going on. Like Ty Montgomery might be a good PPR guy as a fill-in for a flex because he'll get the catches and yards, but you don't know who's going to play. That's the problem with Green Bay.
Yes.
However, one place where they do not have a problem, well, theoretically, is wide receiver. And we have Mr. Devontae Adams as the primary out there now, especially since Jordy Nelson got booted out to Oakland to go live with John Gruden and Spider 2Y Banana.
The best play ever made. Yeah, Devontae Adams is really good, but he gets his head ripped off at least once or twice a season. He'll get a concussion this year, like he's gotten every single year. I think he's been in the league like 3 years, right? I think he's gotten hurt at all of those years, but he's the best one they got, right?
He's the best one they got. Though he does get hurt, he doesn't miss like much time, right? He just gets nicked up. But he has the most touchdowns of any wide receiver over the last 2 years. He's got 22 touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
Which is good. But he doesn't rack up a ton of yardage because Aaron Rodgers throws to anybody who is wearing a Green Bay jersey. He just throws it to you. He's like, I don't even give a shit.
People in the stands.
So he isn't a big yardage guy. So that could kind of hurt PPR if you play there. But he's good for, 5 catches a game. Probably going to score because that's just how his career has gone to this point. But
pretty good career move, score a lot.
They have a new red zone target by the name of Jimmy Graham.
Old James Graham.
The new tight end in Green Bay, who has not had a real tight end playing for them since, I want to say...
who's the last Green Bay tight end? I don't even know.
Mark Chimura?
I don't... Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't know.
They had the other Sharp brother.
They did.
He wasn't a tight end, right? Yeah. So I mean, I'd be hard pressed to name a Green Bay tight end.
I don't think I can do it.
Worth his salt and anything.
I don't think I can do it.
He finished last year as the number 6 tight end, but that was hugely inflated by his touchdown total. He had 10 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, he had a lot of touchdowns,
which is pretty absurd. Even for Jimmy Graham, that's pretty absurd.
He's pretty good in the red zone normally. I like to get Graham if he's there. How he'll be with the Packers, probably about the same or better, I would say. Maybe he's a little better with Rodgers there. I don't know. Who was he? Seattle? Was he on Seattle?
He was on Seattle from New Orleans.
From
traded.
New Orleans. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so he's out of there now. I think like you, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to get his. I think expecting him to finish with 10 TDs again might be lofty.
High. Yeah.
But he's probably at the top of like that tier 2 tight end class.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So you know, definitely going to get 50 receptions, minimum 500 yards.
Yeah.
You know, which is that basic thing you want from a tight end. But I think he could do a lot better yardage wise. You know, he struggled to put up the yards in Seattle, but he put up the TDs. So you might see a little swap of which one is more prevalent in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with, you know, and Jimmy Graham has worked pretty well with scrambly quarterbacks.
Yeah, he had Wilson and
and now Aaron Rodgers. No, yeah, Breeze just kind of chucked it to him.
Yeah.
He was like, just go get it, boys.
Breezy. I call him Breezy.
True Breezy.
True Breezy.
But that brings us now to our sleeper.
I'll be the soundboard.
It's literally just you sleeping right before the show.
Yep. How did you know, Luke?
I just know. Sleeper pick, wide receiver Geronimo Allison.
Oh yeah.
Who is, if you follow preseason news, getting a lot of praise out of camp.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because Randall Cobb is hurt, and everybody already knows about Devontae Adams. So somebody has to step up. And the 65 other rookie wide receivers Green Bay drafted this year haven't made much of a blip. So Geronimo Allison, who is entering, I believe, his 3rd or 4th year with the team, is kind of sliding into that number 3 wide receiver role on there.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of targets because somebody's got to soak up everything that Jordy Nelson left on the table.
Yeah, Green Bay historically has had like really good slot receivers too.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that guy in the Favre days? Even he was. I don't know. They just always seem to have a slot receiver that catches touchdowns like crazy. Even like that's what kind of what the Devontae Adams was, right? Like he was like the 3rd guy in that.
Right. Yeah, but he lined up on the outside because Cobb was always that like slot guy.
Cobb was a slot guy, but even Cobb is like good. Like
Cobb is still great for sure. But I wouldn't consider him a sleeper, right?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Just, so if those other guys are off the board and you're looking for some wide receiver depth, I think Geronimo Allison could be a good wide receiver 4. You know, I don't think he's going to be much more than that though.
Yeah.
So just draft accordingly.
Do everything right. Don't make any mistakes.
All right, moving right along to the Minnetonka Vikings.
Oh boy, here we go. Now this is all right.
We beat these guys.
We did. It was great. I watched it the other day. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, you watched the replay?
Oh my god, I might like that game more than the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl's like all time epic, but like watching that game, I was at your house and I was so relaxed. I was just like, oh my god, this is great. It was just a lot of fun.
I was really drunk.
Yeah, you were. I don't think you remembered what happened after the 3rd Eagles touchdown. You were like, You're just like rambling. I was like,
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
The game was so good, I could get so drunk it didn't matter. Yeah. Not like the Super Bowl where I was afraid to even touch a beer.
I couldn't even take a piss. I was like, oh my god.
So their quarterback, Mr. Payday himself, Kirk Cousins. You like that? You like that?
The Rolling Stones of quarterbacks, and by that I mean the most overrated quarterback ever.
Wow. More overrated than Ryan Leaf?
I mean, yeah, in a sense, because Ryan Leaf, like, after the first like whatever year, everyone knew he sucked. But this guy, like, he's just like a mediocre magnet. Like he's never gonna, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think he's better than Case Keenum?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's better than Case Keenum.
Do you think he's better now that he's free from the hell that is the Washington football team?
Maybe, but I feel like if he were a true like franchise quarterback, that it wouldn't have mattered. Like I think if you put like Carson Wentz on Washington, like Washington wins like way more games because Carson Wentz is incredible.
That's fair.
And if Minnesota wants a franchise quarterback like that, going with Kirk Cousins is weird to me. And paying him $82 million guaranteed, which is
all guaranteed.
Absurd. That's unfucking believable. For what? A guy, he's done nothing.
I'll give Kirk Cousins this. He gambled on himself a few times.
And he won.
He won big. But like you, I do believe he's better than Case Keenum.
Yeah.
And just about every player is coming back to Minnesota. So by proxy, or by the transitive properties.
Sure. That's what that is.
Everybody else on the team should get better.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means that, players such as running back Dalvin Cook.
I had him last year, and he was looking real good, but then his knee exploded in his face and shot his beak off and spun around his head like Daffy Duck.
That's exactly true. He had 4 really strong games, particularly for a rookie.
Yes, he was looking real good.
Then he blew his ACL. But he's back now, and he, unlike Carson Wentz, didn't have to rush because it happened 4 games into the season.
Right, he had months and months.
So he is basically ready to go, I would say, and for all intents and purposes, based on reports out of Minnesota, he is ready to go.
Sure.
So, with that offensive line, with those wide receivers, with a slightly better quarterback, it's reasonable to expect that Dalvin Cook could live up to the expectations of last year.
Right.
Again.
Right.
And also Jerick McKinnon is now in San Francisco, who we'll get to.
Right. I liked him. He was fun. He was real speedy guy. I liked him.
He's an exciting player.
Where's Latavius Murray?
Latavius Murray is still there, but he is now 1 year older.
So he's 52 years old now.
So I don't think he's really going to be pushing that hard to overtake Dalvin Cook. So yeah, Dalvin Cook I think can be a real nice pick for running back this year. Definitely a 2.
Somebody will forget about Dalvin Cook and you'll be able to get it. I just feel like he's that guy. Like people are like, oh, Dalvin Cook. Oh, right. Like and so you'll be able to get him.
Right.
Like,
then you're gonna have that guy at the draft that's gonna be like, yeah, well, what about his leg? And you're gonna be like,
Cook.
I don't fucking care. It was last year.
Yeah.
Also, one of Kirk Cousins' premier weapons, wide receiver Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Finished last year as the number 9 wide receiver. Absolute PPR beast last year with Case Keenum.
So many catches last year. I think they went to the moon and back. He caught like every goddamn ball.
Yeah, if you lined up all the footballs that Adam Thielen caught, you could make it about 1/3 of the way the plastic bottles used by Earth
a year.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is that thing?
That's true.
It's true.
We do science on this show.
I did it. I did the science. He doesn't score a lot of TDs, but he makes up for it, obviously, with his PPR ability and his yardage. But it's the TDs might come back up. If you wide receivers that only score 1 or 2 touchdowns a year, but are a primary weapon, are bound to see those numbers come back
It's
up.
like a math problem at that point, honestly.
Even with like Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook still out there, doing their things. It's a reasonable exception to think that Adam Thielen could be a top 10 wide receiver again.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't feel the same way about the tight end Kyle Rudolph.
Oh my God, Kyle, run, Rudolph.
Run, Rudolph.
That's my Chris Berman of the week.
Kyle Rudolph. Look, he I would say is at the bottom of tier 2,
if not 3,
if not 3 of the tight end thing. He will get catches. He will get yards, but there are more weapons now on this team than 3 or 4 years ago when it was like Kyle Rudolph is the only guy that was doing anything in Minnesota.
Right, which is pretty good.
You know, Kyle Rudolph was like Teddy Bridgewater's best friend.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, though. That might have been a Teddy Bridgewater thing.
Right, but I'm saying like he had that good year.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But now I think he's come back down to like Kyle Rudolph Earth.
Yeah.
Which is
regular Earth.
Which is to say, not to say that you shouldn't draft him, but there are easily 12 better tight ends.
Absolutely. There's going to be a better tight end than Kyle Rudolph.
Consistent guy. He's the guy you pick up when you're on a bye week and you fucked up your bye weeks and you drafted 2 tight ends on the wrong thing. And you're like, shit, I got to drop one. I guess I got to pick up Kyle Rudolph.
Yes, Kyle Rudolph this week. You're going in, Kyle. Put your jersey on. Suit up.
Over in Sleeper Town, we've got wide receiver Laquan Treadwell.
I do not like this sleeper.
No?
I do not like this sleeper, Luke.
Okay.
I know, like he's from that fucking wide receiver class that like everyone was like, oh my god, these receivers are great. And I don't think he's caught like any footballs in a game. I don't think he's ever even played football, Luke. I think Laquan Treadwell is a figment of our imagination.
Wow.
Now,
all right, moving right along. The Chicago Bears. Their quarterback is Mitch Trubisky.
You didn't want to fight that one? You didn't want to
the only reason I like Laquan Treadwell as a sleeper is because he should slot into the number 3 position.
Right.
All the reports out of camp right now for Kendall Wright are awful, even though he was their big free agent signing after Cousins.
Yeah.
And there are even reports that Treadwell is basically just going to be that guy that gets healthy scratched every game.
Well, that means that Kendall Wright is really bad.
Yes.
Because Laquan Treadwell is not good.
But again, that's why, we're going to miss.
No, I'm just saying. I like the sleeper. I like him as the sleeper because he is the sleepiest of sleepers.
Fair enough. Moving on to Mitchell Trubisky's Chicago Bears.
That was like the best Chicago accent I've ever heard in my life.
You're welcome.
Chicago Bears. Did I do it?
Deep dish pizza.
Hey, I like to watch 2 baseball teams in my city. The White Sox and the Cubes.
The Cubes. Measure everything in cubits.
In cubits.
All right, Mitch Trubisky. Let's talk about Mitch Trubisky here.
Okay.
He's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
But was it his fault?
That's the question, right? I don't know the answer, honestly. I have no idea.
And we might not find it out even this year.
Yeah, who knows?
Because they have a new everything basically going up in there. So we're going to find out, maybe at the end of this year, once the teams settle in, they brought in Allen Robinson, they brought in Trey Burton. I will say this about Mitch Trubisky.
Okay.
He did not play for a few games, and he scored fewer points than Jay Cutler in fantasy football last year.
That's not great.
That's not great. No, he finished as the 28th quarterback. So I would not hang my hopes on Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky is someone you're going to get if Mitch Trubisky has like a monster game and then some crazy guy in your league or girl or person of whoever is going to say, I'm going to pick up Mitch Trubisky because he just scored 5 touchdowns. And then next week he goes back to being Mitch Trubisky. I feel like that's Trubisky.
I think Mitch Trubisky is the guy that after 3 weeks somebody just fucking gives up. They're like, I'm 0-3, fuck it. But they still try to field that like half-ass competitive team.
Yeah, it's not a gimme team.
And then you lose to them in like week 12, and you're like, fucking Mitch
So the
Trubisky.
Mike Sadorf team. Fucking Mitch Trubisky.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. I know you watch it.
Just watch it. All right, moving along. Then we're talking about the running back, Mr. Jordan Howard.
Oh,
Finished 15th. You know, he's a between the tackles guy. He's a hard runner.
Yeah.
But he's got hands of stone.
Yeah, I had him last year in one of my leagues. He was really reliable. I basically just set it and forget it, right? Like, oh, Jordan Howard's playing. We're good.
Yep, set it, forget it. You know, Tariq Cohen is kind of their PPR guy. He's a good, like, not just a good handcuff, but a guy to have for like a flex for sure. But their starting running back out there, Jordan Howard, you know, he will get scores. He will be able to rush. Even when you have somebody like Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, he's still able to run. And that tells you a lot about a running back's talent when the team doesn't have to respect the quarterback.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point.
And he's not in any danger except of injuries for losing his starting role. You know, there's some running backs who are like questionable number ones. But
there's like 10 whole people on that team. So
yeah. But I like Jordan Howard. At wide receiver, the newcomer coming back from a torn ACL where she missed all of last season.
He was on the
kicked out of Jacksonville.
Oh, Jacksonville.
Former Penn State University Nittany Lion, Mr. Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this guy.
I like him because he's got consistent play in his healthy Jacksonville years. He was a number one, flirted with number one, you know, but definitively like a good wide receiver too.
Absolutely.
I think he's got a lot to prove. I think he can still put up some yardage with Mitch Trubisky because he did it with Blake Bortles.
Right.
Before Blake Bortles was playoff Blake Bortles.
Which was like slightly better Blake Bortles.
Right.
Like Super Saiyan 1.5 Blake Bortles.
But I think he could be a good, like, you're still looking for a wide receiver one, but don't want to gamble on some of these fringe guys or like new or rookies.
Right.
I'll say this. Here's how I feel about Allen Robinson. I think this year he will be better wide receiver points wise than Alshon Jeffrey.
You think so?
Not
crazy.
Just because Alshon might miss some games.
But
because you know, the Eagles have a lot of people vying for those touchdowns, and those catches.
That's true.
The Bears don't.
that's one. Yeah, no, that's definitely one way to look at it. And I think that, like, again, like someone's going to have to be getting the ball at some point. It's probably going to be Allen Robinson and Jordan Howard. Those are the two people.
And Jordan Howard. But there might be a third person in the mix, Josh.
There might be.
Who is our tight end / sleeper.
Oh, we got a double whammy.
Former Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl champion.
There you go.
Trey Burton.
Super Bowl touchdown completing.
Yes, is he 1 for 1? Does he have the highest quarterback rating in a Super Bowl?
Super Bowl. You probably need like more than 10 passes, I think is how that works, right?
But yes, Trey Burton, the new tight end, got a nice little contract after being a serviceable backup to Zach Ertz.
He's definitely a starter. Like, he's a starter.
He is, but we haven't really seen him
outside of
you know, like 4 or 5 games.
Right.
And I think, you know, I think the Eagles were smart to let him go for the money that he was going to cost, and also because we got Dallas Goedert, Gogurt, however you pronounce his name. But Trey Burton, quick,
Philly Gogurts,
got the hands.
He can catch real well. He's a nice catcher.
It's going to be over the middle, nice short routes. Potential to rack up yardage because of a lot of I got to pass it quick. Trubisky's.
The Trubisky Yipsies. That's what we're calling them.
But I have to wonder too. You know, did being on the Eagles and winning a Super Bowl make him, or not just did, but does him coming from the Eagles, who was a Super Bowl team, make him more valuable in fantasy drafts than he should be? Like, he might be going a little
overrated?
higher. Yeah, because people are like, oh, now he's
Absolutely.
He's in Chicago.
Right. And it's you gotta still remember that it's Chicago and their franchise is pretty terrible right now. I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on in Chicago, but I definitely believe that like he's overrated. I like him a lot, and I think he is a starter anywhere else in the league. Like the Eagles just had like
Starter in New England.
he's a starter in New England. No. But you know what I mean? Like he's a starter like everywhere else besides those teams. But like
yeah, I believe you. Yeah. He's very talented.
yeah.
You just have yet to see
Consistency.
how talented.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. That takes us up to the windy city of Detroit.
The windy city of Detroit. From Chicago, we go to the windy city of Detroit.
Steeltown, USA. Home of the Ford Lions.
That's what they should just rename them, the Ford Lions.
At quarterback, we have Matt Stafford, finished last year as number 7. They are the pass heaviest offense in the universe.
Nobody runs the football ever, and they don't throw to tight ends. So
he gets a ton of yardage. Surprisingly, only had 29 TDs last year for a guy that threw for like 4,900 yards.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
I don't know that they're not that offense. I don't know how that offense works. I think it just works because Matt Stafford is good. I think that's how the Detroit offense works.
Golden Tate is a very good wide receiver.
Golden Tate is good,
and we'll get to him. But
yeah,
I think a lot of the problem is that they don't have a real red zone offense. Their whole deal is we've got to score from like hour 40.
You got to bomb it in there. It's an aerial attack. Yeah, drop it in.
But yeah, he's incredibly reliable and often cheap. You know, like and a lot of people still think he has injury problems, but he has not been plagued by that since like 2010. So he's had a bunch of years in a row where he's been really consistent and played a lot.
I don't remember him being like even nicked up a little bit. I don't remember that. I wouldn't say that about him at all. So,
but I mean, when he was first, he broke his collarbone like twice. He shoulder problems constantly.
Yeah.
But he seems to have acclimated himself to the blue collar nature of the place where all the cars used to be made before all the jobs went to Mexico.
Oh my God. Welcome to Politics Cast.
Boom. Matt Patricia is there. He is the new coach, but Jim Bob Cooter is still going to be the offensive coordinator. So I don't think the offense is going to change that much.
Offensive genius, Jim Bob Cooter.
All right. They have a rookie running back, Mr. Kerryon Johnson, who they liked so much they traded up to get him.
Yeah.
However, they also signed LeGarrette Blount.
Yes.
So anybody hoping for Kerryon Johnson to get some touchdowns,
you can get vultured.
They're gonna get vultured, at least until people realize LeGarrette Blount can't be that goal line guy anymore.
No, LeGarrette Blount had like really awesome year with the Eagles, but that Eagles line is so good that I think a lot of it was, and I love LeGarrette Blount, and I thank for him for his Eagles tenure, and I'll always love him. But I think the Eagles line was so good that it made him look a little better than he probably is now. He's a little up there. It's a little slower.
Yeah, running backs, even the rumbling, stumbling, bumbling kind, they also suffer from being older than 30.
Yeah, 30 happens. It comes at you quick.
But I like Kerryon Johnson, and it's tricky to believe in a Detroit running back. I know, but
it's so difficult to even get through this without being like, don't draft a Detroit Lions running back unless his name is Barry Sanders in 1990.
You could trust Theo Riddick to be a good flex guy for you, because especially in PPR. If you're not in PPR, don't. Theo Riddick is basically pointless.
Yeah, he's a slot filler. He's just wasting space.
But even with all the other high-profile guys, Saquon, Nick Chubb, I think Kerryon Johnson could be right in that conversation. Maybe not quite as good as Saquon, but in that conversation for best rookie running back.
You think so? You think he's going to be like a new guy from Kansas City?
I don't know if he's going to be like that,
Not
but
good.
I think he has a chance to do well in fantasy in Detroit.
All right, that is certainly a statement.
But as you know, you have to. This is such a niche, right? Because
Right.
it's not just running back; it's fantasy running back. It's
Right,
not
so
just
you have
fantasy
to
running
think,
back; it's
right.
fantasy running back rookies.
Rookies,
You know, so I think he can do. I think he'll come out at the end of the season really looking okay.
Okay,
Like,
that's fair.
I don't think you'll kick him out of bed.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Wide receiver, the always delightful PPR gem, Mr. Golden Tate, part
Golden
3.
Golden Taint.
He and Marvin Jones finished 11th and 12th in fantasy points last year.
That's very consistent.
Marvin Jones finished ahead of him only because Marvin Jones caught so many more touchdowns on deep throws. Golden Tate is a sneaky little slot monster.
Wow, that's a very nice thing to say.
Yeah. Picks up a lot of yards after the catch, but has very little TD value basically every year in Detroit that he's been there. But I like him. He's definite.
He's fast. He's fun to watch.
Definite guy you would love to have on your team if he fell to you. If you missed like Julio Jones and Odell and all those premier guys.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get premier name, but he puts up premier points.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Make that a bumper sticker.
Put that on your podcast and smoke it.
At tight end, they let Mr. Eric Ebron go. And
how many of these Seahawks tight ends are we going to talk about tonight?
Instead, they picked up Luke with 2 L's Wilson.
Luke with 2 L's.
Luke Wilson, who was the backup to Jimmy Graham. This guy has virtually no upside. Tight end has never been a part of Matt Stafford's game plan.
God, Matt Stafford hates. Dude, Eric Ebron was just like rotting on the vine. And I don't know if he was a delicious golden apple or a turd, but he was made to look like a turd. And I feel like Luke Wilson will be the retirement. This is the Luke Wilson retirement plan. Go to Detroit and retire because you're not going to get the ball, Luke Wilson.
Yeah, he's not going to get the ball. I think he will be a help in the running game because he can block a little better than Eric Ebron could.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to our sleeper for the team.
Oh, here we go.
This is one of Josh's favorite players from the show last year.
Man.
Kenny Galladay.
I like this sleeper. This is way better than your Vikings sleeper, Luke.
That's because he's a way better wide receiver than my Vikings sleeper.
Yeah, no, I like Kenny Galladay. And I think if you're going to pick up any of these sleepers, this one is the one because Stafford only throws to wide receivers. So Galladay will be getting the
It's
football.
true. And we're going to be seeing, too, what he'll be like fully healthy. You know, he had a hamstring injury. He sort of fell out of rhythm with the offense. Not that he didn't get back to speed, but like he just wasn't as involved on the regular basis just because he missed so much time because of the hamstring. He's got the number 3 wide receiver slot. Not necessarily the slot receiver, but he will be the number 3.
Yeah, whatever that means.
You know, and if people are covering Marvin Jones, if people are covering Golden Tate, there are targets up for grabs.
Right.
So he has the size, he has the speed. He could definitely be a strong, reliable bench receiver for your team.
I agree. Get on that Galladay holiday, baby.
The Galladay holiday. All right. Well, we're taking a holiday to the NFC West.
Oh, the Pacific Northwest.
And we're starting with the, I don't want to call them beloved, but I'll call them stupid Seattle Seahawks.
Beloved by those who love them. Let's just say
beloved by those who don't actually live in Seattle. All right, let's talk about Seahawks. Russell Wilson.
Oh, man.
You could have given me $1 million.
And guess who was the number 1 quarterback last year?
And I would not have guessed that Russell Wilson was the number 1 quarterback in ESPN standard PPR last year.
It makes sense because he was the only person on that football team doing anything. Like without Russell Wilson, that team is 2-14. That's not even a joke.
No, he's a tremendous asset. Like he's the only reason that team stays
Anywhere.
relevant.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe because of how they had no running backs.
Yeah.
Their offensive line was
Like
terrible.
who was he throwing it to,
Well,
right?
like, I was like, how was he getting all these points?
How is he?
But he finished with like 34 touchdowns, which was a career high for him.
We had that game with Watson, that shootout game where he scored
that's
6
true.
touchdowns. So that helps,
But yeah, finished number 1. He's a baller. To replace Jimmy Graham and Paul Richardson, Seattle brought in Brandon Marshall and Jaron Brown. Massive downgrades everywhere.
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall has not been good since leaving Denver.
Denver, yeah. Holy shit. That was like in 1907.
Yeah. So,
that was like 5 teams ago.
There are going to be targets. I don't know who they're going to go to.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they might go to Rashad Penny, who broke his finger but is not expected to miss very much time.
Yeah, I feel like a football player breaks their finger, they're just like, fuck it. I mean, that's that Ronnie Lott story, right? Ronnie Lott was supposed to broke his pinky, and they were gonna well, you need surgery, Ronnie, and he was like, no, just cut it off because you missed less time. Like the guy just was like, cut off my finger, I don't need it.
But this is another guy, a rookie running back drafted this year, got some potential to really break out. However, the O-line is garbage.
Yeah, they're so bad. Oh my god.
So it'll be tough. And if Penny struggles at all, Chris Carson, who was really great for them last year until he broke his leg, is right on his ass. So, the competition is going to be stiff. And both ways. If Chris Carson stumbles, Rashad Penny is going to get more carries. Rashad Penny stumbles. Pete Carroll has never been one to shy away from, outside of the Marshawn Lynch era, just going with somebody who's got a hot hand.
Right.
Which in the post Marshawn Lynch, they've had 65 different running backs try to fill that void.
Yeah. There's been a lot of them, 5 a year.
Yeah.
At least.
So we'll see, Samaj Pirine.
And
there's some other guys. Who was that other guy? Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, there's so many, dude. I mean, I would stay away from drafting.
Yes. Look, Seattle is supposedly switching to a run-first offense, but behind that O-line, I don't know how they're going to do it. Over in wide receiver town, we've got Dougie Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin, who sounds like a guy your dad knows.
Consistently Russell Wilson's favorite guy. Jimmy Graham leaving and Paul Richardson leaving means that even more targets are up for grabs for Doug Baldwin, which is, I don't know how many more balls he could possibly catch from Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But he'll catch them because he's very good.
Yeah, he's I would say he's middle, a middle tier 2, right? Wide receiver 2.
He finished last year at 13th, and he didn't even crack 1,000 yards receiving.
That's a sneaky 13. I feel like.
Yeah, and especially in PPR, he's going to be targeted.
Yeah.
And he may not rack up 200-yard receiving games, but he's going to be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of guy that you really want out. To replace Jimmy Graham, they brought in Baltimore Ravens tight end Ed Dixon.
Sure.
All right, so now we're going to the sleeper, and our sleeper is Chris Carson. Like we talked about with Rashad Penny, they want to go to a run first offense. Fine. Penny has, I would argue, a short leash based on the fact that Chris Carson looked good last year.
Right. I think you and I last year really we got on the Chris Carson train.
Oh yeah.
I think we were trading back and forth like mono at one point. I think you picked him up and I was like, oh yeah, he got him. Cause I was like, damn it, I think I missed him in the order of the, what do they call that? The waiver wire. I missed him.
Yeah.
And then I think I got him when you dropped him and I was like, and it was too late by then. He was already, I'm not good this week or whatever.
We haven't talked about handcuffs a lot on this show.
But
this guy is definitive handcuff. If you drafted Penny, you need Carson, or if you drafted Carson first for some reason because you were skittish on Penny's broken finger,
Right.
you need to get Penny.
Ball and chain.
I think those two are probably the most locked together running backs that aren't Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep
Those
that
guys
in
score
mind.
way more points. So
now the Los Angeles, St. Louis, and back to Los Angeles Rams.
oh yippee! This team. Let's talk about this team.
Quarterbacked by Jared Goff, who finished 12th, which was one rank higher than Blake Bortles, and they barely outscored him. It was like 7 or 8 points on ESPN standard scoring.
He had a couple of good weeks in a row. I had him. He had like 3 or 4 weeks where like he was like pretty good.
He did.
I don't know if that is going to happen again.
But as QB 12, that's like fringe starter.
Yeah.
Right? Like he is like Jared Goff is the guy you get when you're like, oh shit, I forgot to draft a quarterback.
Right. If you draft Jared Goff as like a backup and you have like Wentz or Rodgers or Brady and Jared Goff is your backup, I would feel really good about that. I'd be like, okay, that's like a pretty decent backup quarterback.
Sure. I also would not be surprised though if Goff finishes outside the top 15.
Oh, you mean like right, like 17, 18.
I think he can drop a little bit just because his being untethered to Jeff Fisher and really showed that he could play, but now I think expectations are a little too high.
But he does play for the offensive genius who's 35 years old. Have you heard about Sean McVay, the offensive genius who's 35 years old, guys?
I have 35. Not. Please tell me more. But here are some guys that I think are going to leapfrog Jared Goff that had bad seasons last year.
Okay.
Matt Ryan.
Yes.
Marcus Mariota.
Yes.
Derek Carr.
Sure.
Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely.
I
would pick all those over him.
Those 4 guys leapfrog him.
Yes.
He's already the 16th quarterback.
Right. And that's a much different story. That's a much lower number. It doesn't feel like it, but it is, right?
Right. I mean, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys had bad seasons or missed some of the season, and that they can put up better numbers.
Yeah. Mel says she doesn't buy the Rams, and I agree with Mel.
Well, Mel likes Seattle so much that she's smoking green all the time. So I don't really
smoking that turquoise,
smoking lime green, smoking that Xbox green.
What do they call that green? What's that green's name? It's got like name.
I don't know.
Like
at running back, they have Todd Gurley too, the sequel to Todd Gurley. Last year finished number 1.
Yeah.
Draft him.
Yep. Don't not draft him. Always be drafting Gurley.
It's tough to repeat as the number 1 running back. However, the top 3, top 5 for sure. I don't think this guy falls out of the top 5.
No.
Carries are there.
He's
receptions are there.
He's great.
Like he's good. He's good. Draft him.
Yeah.
Draft him. To replace Sammy Watkins.
Oh, poor Sammy Watkins.
The Los Angeles Rams brought in Brandon Cooks, who finished last year as 15th before Malcolm Jenkins won the Super Bowl.
Ended his life. Before Malcolm Jenkins traumatized that guy's family.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
He's basically just a deep threat. He's a modern day Deshaun Jackson.
Modern day Deshaun Jackson. You're right. No, you're right.
Show me the lie.
You're right. You're right. He's
the guy that will like, oh shit, he got like 4 catches, 200 yards.
He's probably
3 touchdowns.
Slower. Like I feel like he's. I mean, that's a great.
I don't mean. I just meant positionally. Like right. Okay. So, but the thing you have to remember too is Jared Goff is not Tom Brady.
No.
So I don't think Brandon Cooks is going to find the same kind of success he had in New England.
Yeah, and if we're going by the New England let you go rule, your career's over.
He's a little too young to
be done.
To be done.
Right, but I agree that he's probably not going to have a very good season. I think the Rams this year are either going to be really good or they're going to be really bad.
I think they're going to fall back, and because the NFC West is always a hard division. But I think the Cardinals got better. I think the 49ers got better.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Rams offense is going to be able to sustain the kind of success they had last year.
I agree with that.
Outside of Todd Gurley.
Right, who will just run. He'll be benched in the third quarter because he has 250 yards.
Yeah. Tight end, they have Gerald Everett. They also have Tyler Higbee, who is technically the number one for his run blocking ability. Mm-hmm. But I believe Gerald Everett is the better receiver on the team. Definitely not a starter in fantasy, as far as I'm concerned. And they have too many other wide receivers eating up the targets.
Right.
However, maybe do keep an eye on him if you are in need of injury replacements.
Keep an eye on him for suicide watch because he probably isn't going to be doing a whole bunch.
No. Okay, a sleeper for the team, which it's hard to find a sleeper on this team.
Right.
Because last year, almost all their guys were making waves all across fantasy.
Yeah.
Because they were like, look at this guy. The Rams are doing good.
Right.
But I like Cooper Kupp as the sleeper just because he's not as sexy as Brandon Cooks. He's not as fondly remembered or didn't do as much per se as a Robert Woods, who had a real breakout year last year.
Right.
But Cooper Kupp was real sneaky for like a wide receiver 4.
Yeah. No, he had a couple good games. I could talk for hours about the Rams, and this is like a different podcast or whatever, but like I have the theory about the Rams, how like Kroenke is like super butthurt that the Eagles won the Super Bowl on the back of Wentz, and he's on like this like PR like kick. Like every week for like 5 months I had to read articles about Sean McVay and how like he's like the next best offensive genius. Yeah. And then I feel like he's really butthurt that the Eagles won, and that's why he's driving like this like dream team mode, like win now mode. And I think it's very I think it's sad. And I kind of don't like the Rams because of it. Because I think it's also the move to LA, right? It's like we're in LA now. Ooh, we're the LA team,
and they haven't even had their sexy stadium yet. They're still playing in like
a Coliseum, man. Yeah.
At least they get the Coliseum, unlike the Chargers, who get a soccer field.
Who get the town I live in's Pee Wee football field.
All right, let's talk about a team that both of us really like.
Yeah, I have lots of opinions about this team.
The Arizona Cardinals, led by quarterback Sammy Sleeves, Sam Bradford.
Oh my God, remember when Sam Bradford was the Eagles quarterback?
Remember? And then Minnesota foolishly traded us a number 1 pick for him, and then we got Carson Wentz.
That was great. And then we won a Super Bowl. It was great.
We drafted Derek Barnett with that number 1
Derek
pick.
Barnett, which he's awesome.
He's great. I'm expecting big things from him this year, but that's on our
show.
That's on our IDP podcast. You can find that on idp.itunes.com. We do that one on iTunes. This one, you're shit out of luck, guys.
Yeah, figure it out.
But Sam Bradford somehow still getting paid to be a starter.
He doesn't need any more money though.
He doesn't. But they also drafted Josh Rosen to be the number 1 eventually. So Sam Bradford once again in that bridge quarterback role.
Yeah.
I think the bridge is going to be built a lot quicker than ever before. Because they're going to want Josh Rosen in there fast, and Sam Bradford is going to get hurt real fast.
Do you think he's going to get hurt like really quickly? Because like I kind of see that happening too.
I see it happening only because of look, I know Seattle's not the crazy hard-hitting defense they were before,
right?
But neither are the 49ers. They used to have a really great defense, but the Rams defense will punch your fucking face off.
Yeah, they will.
You know, the Seahawks still have guys that can hurt you.
Yeah, literally.
And I just think Sam Bradford is too easy a target. So it's only a matter of time till Josh Rosen is the guy there.
Welcome to the NFL, Joshy boy.
At running back, returning after a broken hand, David Johnson.
D. Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, get him. I would say he's still good.
Get him. I think comeback player of the year. I think easily back into the conversation for top 3 running backs.
Yeah.
And I think potentially number 1, number 2 running back overall this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's that good.
He's ridiculous.
People are like, whatever, David Johnson. Like I've seen it in like mock drafts and things like that.
That's because his name is David Johnson, and he doesn't sound like anybody. He just sounds like nobody.
I think people are just writing him off because of the injury because like Arizona is not good,
right?
And they're foolish because he makes them good.
Yeah, he'll win you games. Like he'll just win you games,
especially in fantasy. He will also win you fantasy games.
That's both. Yeah.
At wide receiver, they have a number of options out there, but believe it or not, last year's number 4 overall wide receiver was Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh man, Larry Fitzgerald is 208 years old.
Larry Fitzgerald is the modern day Jerry Rice.
He is. He went to college with my friend Sean Schaefer, and my friend played a flag football game with Larry Fitzgerald, and in like 03, 04, like right when he got into the NFL, like right before. And my friend was like, look, I'm not good at football anymore or ever, but Larry Fitzgerald is the most incredible human being I've ever seen do anything. Like the dude was just like ham boning it up, scoring touchdowns, like against these yokels who are like fucking like 22-year-old white boys. Like fucking
those Pittsburgh Yokels.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Yokels, man. I don't know. Larry Fitzgerald. Dude, never, as an Eagles fan, never forget about Larry Fitzgerald. He will fuck your life up. He will fuck your life up.
What's amazing though, you can't write him off even now. He's in his mid-30s, but he's gonna get close to 100 catches. He's gonna get 1,000 yards. He might not have the TDs, but he's arguably the best, slowest slot guy in the league. Because now he's just going to be there, and he's good, and he catches everything.
He's open all the time, and he catches all the balls.
He's good. Look at him to save your team. You're going to be able to get him as like a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, you will.
But he plays like a wide receiver 1.
He's a sneaky weapon.
He is. At tight end, Jermaine Gresham, who is hurt right now, is not able to play. So that means Ricky Seals-Jones is the go-to guy.
Ricky Seals-Jones, who sounds like he was the 4th member of Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yeah, well, good luck with him. All right, the sleeper pick for this team is a young man this year named Christian Kirk.
A good Christian boy.
Short guy, fast guy, handsy guy. He's in that. And this is not me making this up. I've seen a lot of comparisons drawn to this just because of his size, speed, and athletic ability. And don't go thinking that I'm saying he's Antonio Brown.
Right.
But he has that build.
Right.
And they don't really have anybody else on this team besides Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson.
Yeah, all the other Roberts are gone.
So I think Christian Kirk can easily be this team's Nelson Aguilar.
That's interesting. I like that. I like that pick too. I like that sleeper. You're making up for that Laquan Treadwell sleeper.
Thank you. And he might also throw in a few special teams, punt return touchdowns for you too, which is nice because you get those bonus points, baby.
That's a nice nice bonus every now and then. Now, oh boy, what's this crap? What's this
San
team?
Francisco
ding ding
49ers, led by my boy Jimmy G.
I know you love Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like the same way I feel about the Rams. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have a great year or not a great year.
I think year 2 of a Kyle Shanahan offense,
Hmm.
he is primed to explode.
I could see that.
He's got Pierre Garçon back. He didn't even really have Pierre Garçon at all last year.
Sure.
He's got Marquise Goodwin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good one's good.
He's got Jerick McKinnon. He's got George Kittle. He's got an offensive bunch of weapons that are not comparable necessarily to Atlanta,
Right.
but very comparable to what existed in Washington when Kyle Shanahan was there.
I see.
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
So I think they're going to put up some nice fantasy stats.
All right. I like this Garoppolo pick. I like him as a let's try it out guy. You know, every now and then you got to mix up your fantasy team, and you're like, well, I don't know. I could draft like Alex Smith at number 2, or I could go with this Jimmy Garoppolo fellow.
Yeah. You know, the other thing, the 49ers defense is terrible. So
Yeah.
I believe the 49ers are going to be playing from behind.
So they'll be throwing a lot.
So throwing is going to be a thing.
Yep.
Throwing is going to be a thing. And Garoppolo has a good sense to not throw a lot of picks.
Yeah, he's decent about that.
Yeah.
No turnovers.
So I'm on board with this guy this year. I'm all in on Jimmy G.
All right. I'm in. I hope he succeeds because I want you to succeed.
I think Jimmy G beats out Jared Goff as fantasy quarterback this year.
Write it down. Write that shit down. Who's writing this stuff down? Mel?
Put it on my tombstone because I'm going to die this year.
Oh my God, this is dark. It's like a dark turn.
At running back, they stole Jerick McKinnon from the Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah.
who last year finished as the 17th best running back in a split duties with, that other guy, Latavius Murray.
Murray.
He is not an every down back. He will be sharing some duties with Matt Breida.
Yes.
But Jerick McKinnon has the ability. He's fast. He can catch.
He's quick.
And I think he'll do pretty well out there. What sucks to me is I wish the 49ers didn't get rid of Carlos Hyde, because Carlos Hyde is good.
Carlos Hyde is good.
And I think he could have helped them a lot more than Jerick McKinnon will.
Yeah, I feel like Carlos Hyde was like, I mean, in fantasy last year, even like if you had him, you could feel pretty good about that starting running back. Like, because I mean, they weren't doing a whole lot, and he was doing a lot. So I don't know. 49ers are real bad.
They are.
They're real bad.
At wide receiver, they have Pierre Garçon returning to full health after last year's neck injury.
Dancing the night away, baby.
My notes I wrote here, he is no Julio Jones.
That's very true.
But as the number one receiver in a Shanahan system, as he was when he was in Washington, he should have no trouble getting catches and no trouble getting yards.
Yep.
The opportunities will be there for Pierre Garçon.
How old is he?
12.
12 years old. Wow. He looks great.
He does look good. Neck injury and all. Guys looking good. At tight end, they have one of my favorite guys to pick up last year, George Kittle.
Skittles.
Another guy that's in that potential to be a tier 2 guy. He's not a tier 2 guy yet, but he could be.
He could be.
Especially, with another year in this offensive system and more familiarity with everybody. Interesting thing about him, didn't drop the most passes of all the tight ends, but he had the highest drop percentage of targets.
Okay.
So that's just something to keep in mind.
That's bad. That's a bad stat.
While he may be a red zone threat because San Francisco doesn't really have another one.
Right.
Pierre Garçon is not, that big guy that's going to go up and get it.
No.
Be prepared to be disappointed by him dropping touchdowns.
Oh, if you're a 49ers fan, you're disappointed anyway.
That's true. And over in Sleeper Town, I've got my boy Matt Breida. Just like the Seattle team. I believe this is a supreme handcuff.
Yes.
If McKinnon isn't able to deal with being a number one running back, I think Breida steps right in there.
Yeah.
And reportedly, out of camp, the word is that they expect Breida to fill in that Tevin Coleman role as compared to Devonta Freeman. So Coleman wasn't great all the years that Shanahan was there, but he was that sneaky guy that could magically put up like 25 points a game.
Yeah.
When given the opportunities.
I like it. All
right. I was like 6 for 8 on sleeper picks tonight.
I don't know. That Laquan Treadwell one counts as like 2.
That's why I said 6 for 8. You liked all the rest.
I did.
You like Christian Kirk, Cooper Kupp.
You're much better at fantasy than I am, so I don't know why. Like I don't know that Laquan Treadwell. Ooh.
It's all right. You're allowed to disagree with me. I'll still let you be on the show.
Oh, cool.
Look at that. We got a slightly late start, and we barely went over the limit tonight.
Oh, man, we did it. We're getting better at this.
We are getting better at this. Hey, it's the preseason for us, too.
That's too.
So thank you guys for tuning in to another excellent show, if I may say so myself. Thank you, Josh.
Oh, thank you.
Of the Fantasy Football podcast. Next week, we are back with our final preseason previews of the NFC South.
Oh, boy.
And the NFC East.
The East, baby. I can't wait to talk about the Giants without Ray here. Uncle Ray.
I don't know who the Giants are. Are they a team? I don't have them in my notes. They may not even make the cut.
They might not even make the cut. Oh, God.
So August 22nd at 8:30 Eastern, we'll be back here with that. On August 29th, we are off.
Yeah, we got
we got a bye week.
Vacationing to do. And
we'll be back September 5th, the Wednesday before week 1 starts.
Are you going to France?
No, God, no.
Hey,
Fuck France. I'm just going to the Outer Banks again.
OBX, baby.
OBX. Dude, the house is ridiculous this year.
Is it?
Pretty sick.
I'm fucking jealous. I don't get to go anywhere fun except England, which I was there for like 2 hot seconds. Literally.
Did you eat any meat pies?
Everything they eat is brown. All the food is brown. So maybe?
Well, you missed it out. Luke. I'm going to play you off. The music you hear means the show's about to come to an end.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Check out our Twitter at FFFFF podcast. We'll throw up another Discord thing there. Do follow us there. Come over and hang out with us in the Discord. Mm-hmm. We'll be chatting all season long about a range of things. But otherwise, we will see you guys next week at 8:30 right here for our final installment. Good night, Josh. Good to see you.
Bye, everyone.